This week on Case Studies with the Biz Doc, it's SentinelOne, a mammoth IPO. Where's that going to go? Where'd they come from? Where are they going? And what is up with cybersecurity? It sounds pretty important. All of that and more this week. SentinelOne, cybersecurity company, just had a big IPO. I'm going to take you through the history, why their product is good, who they're up against, and the venture funding. But first, let's start with the founder. SentinelOne was founded by this guy, Tomer Weingarten, who was joined by these guys, Almog, Cohen, and Ehud, Shamir. Together, they had a vision for SentinelOne and cybersecurity. More specifically, the product that they were getting at is they wanted to put some AI together, and they have a patent on that studies behavioral dynamics that are happening as cyber attacks are going on. Remember, there's humans and hackers that are doing these cyber things, so when you see actions that are happening on servers that are somehow out of order or improper, and the AI is able to sense that, it can sense that something bad is happening, or that routines are running, AI can sense that. And they have put together the Singularity platform. And the Singularity platform, the brand of the SentinelOne product, uses machine learning to protect PCs, Internet of Things. Internet of Things, by the way, is like thermostats on the wall of your house or your doorbell. All of those endpoints and cloud are all vulnerable to attack. Anywhere you have an endpoint, which could be your phone as an endpoint or Internet of Things devices, the cloud, all these endpoints protected by the Singularity platform. And they have the AI patent, which is the behavioral dynamics to see what's going on. So cybersecurity is not new since the first antivirus software was out there. Remember Norton, and you remember McAfee, God rest his soul, and Kaspersky later. You remember all these antivirus packages that you would put onto your computer. And they protected your computer from hacks and malware and things like that. What they couldn't protect it is from this human intervention, like if you clicked the wrong link on an email that looked like it was from your bank, but it really wasn't, now you've accidentally compromised your password. So we as people had to get smarter about clicking on phishing expeditions that would happen in our own email, but everything else is happening on automation, that sometimes you went to a website that threw something onto your browser, things were going on back there. Well, that's where Symantec and Norton and Kaspersky and McAfee all played a role. Well, the stakes went up as servers got big and data centers got big, and then mobile came out. Along the way, SentinelOne in 2013, 8 years ago, had this vision to help us and to build the next better mousetrap in terms of cybersecurity software. So let's take a look at the money they raised. So it all started there back in 2013, about $20,000 to start the company, followed by $2.5 million in seed money in August of 2013. Now let me just say, $2.5 million in seed sounds like a Series A to the Biz Doc, because you and I are not going to go get friends and family together to get $2.5 million in seed unless we get some very, very big friends and family. Nonetheless, they call it seed. Usually seed is about $100,000, $200,000 total, followed by $12 million in April of 14, Series A, Tiger. Oh, Tiger Global, there they are again. They're everywhere. Well, they're going to show up in a minute with even bigger dollars. That was followed by $25 million in October of 2015 by Third Point. So now you can see about 2 years after they've launched, they have already raised $40 million total has been raised in the first 2 years. So obviously they're onto something, and people are seeing the benefit of this, and they have got some momentum. So much so that to go from the Series B, the Series C, from Redpoint, now that was $70 million, which is almost 2x what they had raised previously. So I look at those kind of dynamics, and people have asked how I analyze companies and do these case studies. One of the things I look at is the velocity of the money that's being invested. So you can see $70 million is closing in on $2 million of this amount. So you go, something's up. The investors are seeing downstream. Because remember, the investors are under NDAs and they can see future plans, and that's what they're investing in, things that have not been announced to the public. Nonetheless, you have Redpoint. Well, let's take a look again. Now we get down to June, so January of 17, over 2 years, June of 19, $120 million from Insight. Well, interesting. Now you take the 70 times 2 would be 140. Whoop, almost have another doubling. And now you're well over $200 million at this point. And in 2019, apparently, they generated $18 million in revenue and $26 million in loss. So that's very real revenue. That's $1.5 million a month are being spent on cybersecurity SentinelOne, the Singularity platform. So what's going on in there? So obviously they've got traction and things are going on. And my understanding, they had about 1,000 customers at this point. The market here is huge. The market for corporate enterprise security is going to grow from about 9.7 billion now to, the best information I found is, over the next 3 years going to grow to a $12 billion market. And then cyber, and that's total spend. The market equals the total spend. The big businesses trying to protect their servers and server farms and security and the things that you and I do in business with them, whether you're doing business with Amazon or you're doing business with your bank, or you're doing business with JetBlue or AT&T, which I'll get to in just a minute. Then cyber analytics is the $13 billion market, growing to 17. So you've got $19 billion of market that's out there going forward, like 2022, 23, and this is only 18 million. So obviously, if they've got traction and a great product, there's more than enough room to go around. There's gonna be space at the table for SentinelOne and the Singularity platform to do very, very well and get more than its fair share, which I think they're gonna do. The competitors going into 2020 started talking about them. CrowdStrike, with its Falcon platform, actually started mentioning SentinelOne in their own annual report of potential competitors. Now that was sort of interesting because CrowdStrike is many times bigger than SentinelOne, which I'll get to. And then Qualys and Palo Alto Networks. And Palo Alto Networks have been around for a while, so I don't know how it measures up, but certainly that's older software and an older company. Maybe they're keeping up, maybe they're not, but if they are, and there's still room for someone like SentinelOne, I think there's probably some gaps in there. Then we get to 2020, where they would raise $200 million in a Series E from Insight. So Insight was in both of those rounds. And boom, it's the Unicorn Club with a $1 billion valuation. But it doesn't just stop there. From February, then they go down to November. And remember, November in 2020, this is happening in the middle of the COVID year. And they get $267 million from Tiger, who's been watching things unfold the whole time. And it's a $3.1 billion valuation. All I can say is, damn! In the space of 1 year, they've hit the 1 billion unicorn mark, and then they tripled it to here, and they've raised almost $500 million, $467 million in 2020 for a total venture raise of $696 million from that Series A, led by Tiger, to the 267 put in by Tiger Global. Significant. Then in December of 2020, customers of SentinelOne were able to stop the Sunburst attack. Now, what is the Sunburst attack? SolarWinds is an IT management and database management company. So it also does remote management for your company. So you may be using this to remotely manage IT services or your database or whatever. And apparently, evil malware people built a thing called Sunburst, which was a intrusion or malware that looked like it was just an update to your SolarWinds software. Now that's not unusual for software to say, hey, I'm going to do an update now. And many of you, when you go to close your Microsoft laptop, the blue screen comes up. Don't touch. We're updating your software. Well, the same thing happens in servers, and they should get permission-based. But anyway, the evil guys got into SolarWinds. It looked like an update, so a lot of customers, big companies that know what they're doing, allowed the update to happen. Then it would lie dormant for 12 days and then start doing things. It would be like a thief breaking into your house and waiting 12 days, no evidence of the break-in, nobody calls the cops, nobody knows what's happening, and after 12 days, the thief now starts stealing things and running out through your garage door. That's basically what Sunburst did. It went in and lied dormant for 12 days and then suddenly jumped into action doing things. And if you were using SolarWinds for network management, remote management, database management, you were in trouble. And a lot of terrible things happened there in December, unless you were protected by SentinelOne and the Singularity platform. And people like AT&T, who's a SolarWinds customer, and JetBlue, guess what? They were happy because the update was stopped. The intrusion attack was stopped by SentinelOne that sensed it, and their platform, with everything that it did, those customers did not get hit by Sunburst. You remember in the news, this was a very big thing. And a year that they only doubled revenue from 18 to 37 million, and their loss went up to 62 as they continued to invest in the company and its growth. The fact that they stopped the attack right after the investment, Tiger Global saying, we bet on a winner, we got this figured out. And so you go to this year, they had their IPO just now, and we're sitting here at the end of Q2 2021 as we film this. And on June 30th, they had an IPO that on day one, they went from 31 to 45. It was a $10 billion valuation. That's almost good for another dam, because that means in 1 year, less than 1 year, they go from a 3.1 valuation from Tiger Global to a $10 billion valuation at the IPO, which means Tiger's stake just got marked up by 3x. So whatever they were in there is worth 3x more. So the Tiger Global stake should be, if I'm following things correctly here, worth somewhere in the vicinity of $500 million to $750 million. Not too shabby. That's what happens when you go public and you've invested wisely. So biggest IPO of all time. The previous big one was CrowdStrike, which is also cybersecurity, a $6.7 billion IPO in April of 2019. That 2 years later now, their market cap is $57 billion. That's 8x over 2 years, and their revenue is $874 million, and they lost about 93 on 2020. And you've got the big guys, somebody that is sitting here 20 times bigger in revenue is talking about you in the annual report. So what that tells you is that SentinelOne may just be rolling here, sub 100 million on revenue, but they've got massive partnerships. They got a beautiful gold star for stopping the Sunburst attack, and it really appears that what they have built here is truly a fantastic cybersecurity platform. So what are the lessons for you and me? We're not necessarily going to be designing cybersecurity platform. Maybe we're with a small app-making software company, or maybe we have a t-shirt company in Berlin. What can we learn about this? In the case of the lessons here, I think security valuations are finally going up. If you take a look at the value, I was seeing value for social medias that were way out of whack compared to cybersecurity. And what's more importantly, getting more likes or having your entire company in the network protected? Of course security is more important. And it's good to see that the valuations are going up for security. And it only takes things like Sunburst and some recent malware intrusions where you saw the hostage taking that was happening to servers and things. They wanted to be paid in Bitcoin. A lot of bad things happening. So cybersecurity is getting its value and getting its due for what it's protecting. Now, what's interesting here is they talk a lot about AI. AI is still not as widespread as it can be in cybersecurity. So I think one of the lessons here is there's nowhere to go but up in terms of AI trying to protect us. And finally, in software, they say dog years is like 7 years for a dog is 1 year for a person. Well, I think dog years in software is only 5 years. So if you're 5 or 10 years back, like Palo Alto Networks, it's very easy to get passed by somebody like a SentinelOne. So there's the story. A great company with 3 guys who are incredibly smart, who build a cybersecurity company, and we need more great cybersecurity software. Well, that's what I think about SentinelOne, but what do you think? Please leave a comment down below. I answer as many as I can. And while you're there, please subscribe to Valuetainment, the best channel on the internet for entrepreneurial and business owner content for people just like you. And while you're there, hit the bell so you get notifications of other great case studies. And if you like this one, check out one of these from the Biz Doc archive. Until next time, I'm Tom Ellsworth with the Biz Doc, and I hope I left you better than I found you.